another episode of CoVerse, the podcast, part of the Insurance Nerds Network, where we will be shining light on the best stories and storytellers in the industry. My name is Sarah Abdelwahed, and I'm joined today with Natasha Kiemnec. Natasha, it's great to have you on. Thank you so much for joining.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So let's start off with a little bit about yourself. Can you tell me a little bit about what you do, your background?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am the co-founder of Lion Specialty. We launched our business in the fall of last year. We're an insurance brokerage firm that focuses on financial institutions, so banks, insurance companies, hedge funds, asset managers, private equity firms. And what we're talking about today is Pilates. And as we build Lion Specialty, obviously the focus is insurance and eventually it'll be media as well. But part of what we want to do is have a holistic development side as well, where we are taking care of our people in a much more holistic fashion than I think a lot of the financial world has historically. So trying to integrate Pilates into that during my time off, I got my Pilates certification. So
That's amazing. I love that.
yeah,
What was your inspiration to incorporate Pilates into your personal and professional life?
I've always liked Pilates. I started taking it probably, let's say, 7 or so years ago. I've always been very into fitness, but all sorts of different things. I did marathons, triathlons, more intense type cardio workouts, soul cycle, berries, things like that. And then got into Pilates actually because of an injury and was introduced to it through that. Physical therapist said, "Hey, I just suggest maybe you check this out. It'll help you with your hip injury." So got into it through that, and then just really loved what it was doing in terms of like core strength. And I had a couple of those like aha moments that people have when they take Pilates, where you're like, wow, I actually can like stand normally and didn't even know I was having problems standing. So it was something that over time, as I was kind of getting more and more into it, I really loved it. And then I was traveling a ton at the time and had the opportunity to take classes all over the world, which was pretty cool. It was an interesting way to like see how different people teach. And I was finding that in all of the travel and sitting on planes and stuff, it was very helpful for loosening and staying active and fit, and also being able to do it in a lot of different cities.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think just getting to experience it in different cities around the world too. Not a lot of people get to do that because I feel like when you go on vacation, when you're on a trip, not everyone has, working out as their main priority. They're more like on a time crunch trying to get all of the activities or their itinerary in. So I haven't even gotten to experience that. I travel a lot and I've never actually gone to workout classes in another country. So that's actually pretty insightful.
It's
Um,
must.
yeah, that's actually really cool. I need to try that the next time I travel. That's going to be on my list of things to do now. Um, I would say so being in the Pilates. So first off, are you more of a floor Pilates girl or do you like machine Pilates?
So obviously with all the travel that I do, I always will take, you'll see if you look at my like LinkedIn videos, I'm doing all like mat Pilates because that's obviously very versatile and anyone can do it from anywhere. I take like a little inflatable ball with me and then the bands with me. So I'm always trying to do like at least 20 minutes of that, which is honestly, it's if you really do a proper mat workout, it can be harder than any other type of Pilates, which most people don't intuitively think that. They think reformer is the only way to do it. So I always try to do that. And then if I am in a city that has like a great Pilates studio, like I'll pop in and do a reformer class just because I like, the variety. But there's also actually a lot of other machines that most people don't know about. So I was trained classically, which you learn on all 7 machines. So there's quite a bit there, which like some more built out studios will have, which every once in a while I'll be in a city where I find something like that, which is pretty cool too. But I don't really have a preference, all that to say. I kind of like both of them. They have their
Okay. Yeah. Would you say there's a city that you really enjoyed going to classes in, or is there like a standout city to you?
Um, I mean, New York is in there, LA is in there, probably London and Miami, but then again, those are all my favorite cities anyway, so might
That
have
makes
some
sense.
correlation.
Yeah. And so how has Pilates influenced your approach on health and wellness?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's funny, a lot of people I think have gotten into a new age Pilates, and a lot of people talk about meditation, and meditation and Pilates really go hand in hand in terms of like breath work. And some of my favorite books, I think I mentioned this when I first started like posting on LinkedIn, but one of my favorite books is called Breathe or Breath. And it talks about all of the health benefits essentially of breath work and exercises there. And I didn't really know it at the time, but like that was something I was loving about Pilates. And now I come back to that when I'm stressed out. I come back to that when I just like need a reset. It's like a totally different space, especially having learned classically and being taught Pilates. Like you really do learn breath work and like why it's important and how it actually like helps you move through the movements. Um, and like the 450 hours that I had to spend getting my certification, like it's amazing how much of it is about breath work. And like, you're doing 8 hours of Pilates a day, so it constantly is like reminding you that like you have to keep using your breath to like move through yet another movement. So I think it was something that I didn't even realize I was building into. And then now it's become like absolutely part of my practice of staying calm. And especially when I'm working a lot of hours, like taking that time. I think a lot of people will get caught up in not working out when they're really busy. And I mean, it's still a concerted effort to do it, but I have made it an effort to be very diligent about doing Pilates every day.
That's really good. And I think that's a really great point to bring up because breathing is so important in just daily life, especially when you're so busy, you have so much going on that just taking time to like take a step back and work on your breath work. I don't think people realize how much of an impact that can really have. Even if you just go on a quick walk, do a few, breathe in, breathe out, I know there's different types of breath work you can do that help with different things, but practicing those breathing exercises really make a difference just to help, center yourself.
Yeah.
So,
And it's crazy how much it can really calm your nervous system down. So it's definitely worth the while and worth the effort, which again, like when I'm doing Pilates, a whole big part of it is the breath work and like the meditation aspect. So you've kind of got all three of those moving together, it's very calming, which is amazing, especially how stressful our jobs can be sometimes.
yeah, absolutely. I think at the end of this, if you want to give us an example of a really beneficial breath work exercise, that could be really good. Um, Okay, next question is, so can you talk about how you've been bringing your Pilates training online for the LinkedIn community?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that we're trying to do at Lion is, well, we're starting Lion Specialty, but also Lion Media. And within Lion Media, the goal will be to be on all platforms social. So LinkedIn, X, Instagram, YouTube, probably TikTok at some point, but that's probably a later point. Um, and on LinkedIn, which has been kind of the first one that we have been on, I've taken Sunday as the day that I share Pilates and try to do a bit more of that like holistic wellness component of what we're doing. And it's really just three simple moves for, executives, busy moms, busy dads, whatever it is, to be able to work some part of your body, whether it's a stretch or your core or something like that. Sometimes it's based on my travel and I'm like, oh, I'm really tight. Like I need these three moves. But the thinking really is just three moves to start getting you moving and thinking about working out while doing whatever else
Awesome.
you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I know when I see your videos pop up on my feed, I'm like, this motivates me to want to work out. And
Good.
like yeah, and I think that's the whole point. It's just like it's that easy. You just need to get started. Starting is the hardest part when
The
people are
hardest
so
part.
busy. Like
It's
I know that. I know that for myself too, because I'm just like I have so much work. Like the last thing I want to do is work out, but it's just starting. And then once you finish, you're like, even though it was 20 minutes, that was worth it. I got a little workout in and I feel better about myself. So
Exactly. And it really is like every time I do my Pilates videos that I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna go work out, which is great. So
exactly. Have you, what kind of feedback have you received from your audience regarding your Pilates videos on social media?
it's funny. It seems like, I mean, it's a mix of people, I will say, but definitely a lot of women who've reached out to me being like, this is awesome. Like, I love that you're doing this, which I think is, to the point of like trying to juggle a lot of different things. And then I've been surprised actually by men. It's not so much like on the platform, but it's in a call every once in a while. Like they're like, I keep hearing that I need to do Pilates and you keep reminding me. So it seems like it has landed for a lot of people and a lot of people that I wouldn't have necessarily expected it to land for or to even be noticing it. So
Mhm.
I think it's something that a lot of people get told, for a variety of reasons. We all sit too much, injuries, and Pilates is something that, whether you're the most fit person in the world or you have no experience in fitness, it can apply to anyone, which is what's so cool about it. So it seems like it's resonated for a lot more people than I was expecting it to, I guess I'll say.
Yeah, that's really good. And going off of that, being so busy and running your own business, how do you balance the demands of that with your commitment to Pilates and wellness?
It's an ongoing everyday task, I'll say. It's like I said, it's just making the time for the Pilates and not every day do I have realistically do I have time for it, but I know how important it is to my like wellness and my mental wellness that I've just sort of said like this is a must. And for me and Flip, we've worked together long enough now that both of us have various things that we need to do to stay like focused and like in a good mental space. And for
Mhm.
me, he knows that it's Pilates. So anytime I'm like, I'm going to Pilates, he's like, okay, I won't bother you. That sounds good. So we both have sort of set aside what those activities are and have made time for that. And honestly, like it does help having the ability and the flexibility to set our own schedules. Like we're both working crazy hours, but you find time to kind of fit in those couple of things that really matter. So I think it's just being intentional about it, honestly.
Yeah, I think that's such an important point because a lot of the time when we're on such a busy schedule, people lose track of time and it's really like, okay, if I know that I'm going to get so busy during the day, waking up a little earlier, getting that workout in or whatever that activity is in that's
Yep.
going to help you, or if you know like I just had such a stressful day, I'm going to get off at 5 p.m. The next hour, I'm going to set 5 to 6 p.m. That's when I'm going to work out or do what I need to do. Not like block out everything else and just make sure that you set that time for yourself. It
Yep.
is being intentional and making the time that you need to just make sure you're taking care of yourself. That's the most important thing, really.
No, completely agree. And honestly, if you're not taking care of yourself, that's going to take up so much more of your time. So
Mhm.
it's
Absolutely.
crazy that 1 hour really is not that much when you break it down to like if you get sick or something goes wrong, it's worth the while.
Yeah, health is wealth. That's what it
Yeah,
is. If
yes,
you get sick,
absolutely.
then you're going to be out much longer than, okay, I should have taken care of myself. Now I'm, reaping the repercussions of it.
Yeah,
Um, yeah. What else? Okay, and then so what would you say I know you said you travel a lot. So what role has global travel played in helping you stay curious about the world?
oh, that's a great one. uh Well, I grew up traveling a bunch. I spent the summers traveling and kind of seeing the world. So it's always been something that's been part of my DNA. And so obviously in this job, you can do a lot of that. And it's been one of the, I'll say, benefits of the job. Some people see it as maybe not a benefit, but I've seen it as a benefit and an opportunity to kind of continue exploring and seeing new parts of the world that I haven't seen. I also like to travel and work in different time zones. Like I'm in Miami right now. I don't live in Miami. Spend some different times in different areas and get to see different friends. So it's for me, it's been like enriching my life, my personal life in
Mhm.
terms of getting to see new parts of the world. Like I said about Pilates, like getting to
Yeah.
see different types of Pilates teaching. Um, and yeah, I think it's just been keeping it interesting in a personal perspective.
Yeah, where have been some of your favorite places that you've traveled?
That's a good one. I think my top three places I've traveled are probably Brazil, Egypt, and Japan.
Oh, nice. Okay. Brazil is the one yeah, Brazil, I I hear a lot of people say great things about it, but I've never really had that on the top of my list. I'm actually Egyptian, so I've been to Egypt so many times. It's
Yeah,
great. It's such a
great.
it's, and a dollar goes such a long way. It's very
Yeah,
inexpensive to travel there. Japan, I've heard also great things about. People are like, you have to go to Japan.
it's
So
incredible. Yeah, those three for sure. How about you? What are your on your list?
I think my favorite places, it's funny because I'm biased. Like I've gone to Egypt so many times. I'm like, oh, I've seen it, done it. But
Yeah,
it is definitely somewhere to see. There's so much history there. So like if you're into Egyptian history, pharaohs, all of that stuff, it's really amazing to see all of the tombs and whatnot. I really enjoyed Spain. Um, and I would say Turkey as well as what other country did I really, really like? Portugal. I really liked Portugal as well. A lot of the European countries. So yeah, a lot of people I feel like don't Turkey is one that stood out because you get Turkey is along Europe and Asia, so you
yeah,
get a good mix of both. So it's really cool to see the different cultural I guess, aspects in one country. Because if you
yeah,
go to one side of the country, you see the European, and then the other side is more of the Asian culture. So I thought that was really fascinating for me. And it's just pretty overall.
yeah. Beautiful,
Um,
beautiful.
yeah. And then can you share any daily routines or habits that really help you balance and manage your stress outside of, I know Pilates is a big one, but outside of Pilates?
Yeah, Pilates is a big one. Obviously, like I said, I try to do at least an hour of Pilates every day, which is magical for so many things. And then the other one is some type of breath work, whether that's guided meditation through an app or, sitting out in the morning sun or going for a walk and not having any like music or devices. I always try to do something like that for at least like a half an hour a day, which I would love to say that it's at the exact same time every day, but it's just not with like travel and stuff. So I just try to get it in no matter what I'm doing. And then in addition to that, some type of other workout, like Pilates is a workout, obviously, but it's more meditative for me, I'll say at this point, even though it's obviously great for your body. Some type of like cardio or weightlifting or something like that. So a lot that's really just like geared toward calming the body, working the body out, I think are probably my biggest things that help with stress. And then I'm a very organized person, so I like to kind of end the day with like, okay, like redoing my to-do list and
Yes.
getting ready for the next day. So a lot of like preparation, I'll say.
And then going off of that, what would you say is um what would you okay, so having the experience, your certification as a Pilates instructor, what are some easy breath work activities that you might do like at your desk or if you have like a few minutes and you just really need to calm yourself?
Yeah, so there's two that are pretty common. One is called box breathing, which is like 4 or 5 seconds in, hold for 4 or 5 seconds, and then out for 4 or 5 seconds. And then the other one is 4, 7, 8 breathing. So in for 4 seconds, hold for seven, and out for eight. I find that one to be the most calming. Like if you do that 10 times, it is amazing how much calmer you are at the end of it. And I think people sometimes think it's silly or it doesn't really work or something like that. But if you just take a moment and do it, it is amazing how helpful it is. And all of a sudden at the end of it, you're like, wow, I'm actually a lot calmer. And like, okay,
Yeah.
take a second, readjust. So I think, giving them a try is definitely worth it. And like I said, that book that I read, Breath or Breathe, however you say it, it was mind blowing. Like every single page, I was like, wow, everyone should read this book. It is absolutely insane how good it is. So that was sort of like one of my, I read it, I guess, well into meditation, but it just reinforced like all the things that breath does for the body and how it really helps like your central nervous system. So those would be my two suggestions.
Those are really good suggestions. And going off of that, I remember growing up, my dad would always go on a walk and be like, I'm gonna do my breathing exercises. And I was like, what does that even mean? Breathing exercises. And he believed in the 4-7-8 breathing method. And he was like, honestly, you need to try, like growing up, he's like, honestly, you need to try the breathing exercises when you walk because it's really important. And then
Yeah.
like when I started just going and walking my dog, I started doing those breathing exercises and they had such a different impact. Like I'd leave my house being super stressed out from work, and then I just do that for like 1 or 2 minutes and I feel such a relief. And I was like, wow, the impact that it actually has.
Yeah,
So
no, I know. I remember my Nana doing exercises like that too in the mornings. And I was always like, what is she doing? And now in hindsight, I'm like, wow, she was a genius early on, early days. Nana.
right.
She did it.
um, it's like they actually have the wisdom that we should be listening to.
Yeah,
Like
100%. Like I wish I'd picked that up at like 5 or 6 when I was like, what is she doing?
right. And then are there any upcoming projects or initiatives you're excited about that focus on your practice, your Pilates, as well as line specialty?
In terms of like integrating the two, not yet. I think, as we build out the company, which really the next phase is production and producing business. But as we do that and get a little bit further down that road, I think we'll kind of come back to some of the wellness things and start to build out, as we build out the team, we'll build out some of the wellness components of like eventually I'd love to have something online where we teach classes to our employees, wherever they sit and have options there, in the same way that you pay for like a fitness platform in any shape or form, and eventually build that out with other people that we contract with. And I would obviously teach the Pilates portion of that. So, and then maybe eventually as we do in-person team building things like doing Pilates together. So it'll be things that we sort of build into the model as we grow. But right now, nothing yet. But it'll be
You have
added.
great, yeah, you have great ideas, and those are amazing things just to get people going and like interested in. So it'll get there. I love
Yeah.
that. I love those ideas though. Those are amazing. And then what would you say would be your final piece of advice you would give to our listeners about the importance of incorporating wellness into their daily lives?
I mean, honestly, it's everything. I didn't do it for a number of years and I ended up getting cancer. So it's something that like on the other side of that, I would tell people like it's a must. And like I got very lucky and at a young age to have gone through that and be on the other side of it. So it's something that like I feel like people are like, oh, like I'll do that eventually, or I'll do that next week, or I'll get to that. And it's like you may not have a next week. And I know
Mm,
so many people say that, but I think until you go through that sometimes, or until someone just says it in the right way, like it doesn't really resonate.
yeah.
So I think that would be my one piece of advice of like, take that moment, do it today, go for a walk, get outside. And you just, yeah, you never know. So you
Yeah.
must do it today.
Absolutely. Such a good piece of advice because it's so true. You really don't know what can happen tomorrow. So 100%. Well, thank you so much, Natasha, for your time. It was such a pleasure having you. We will have all of Natasha's information linked. You can check